What's up, guys? It's a rainy day down here, so I'm going to do my best to talk over it, and hopefully you guys can hear me fine. We got to talk about this UN Global Pact for the Ethical Treatment of Migrants, and migration is a human right. Migration is not a human right. How is it a human right? I don't understand this. I looked up the definition of migration. First of all, before I even get into that, what pops in my head when I think of migration is buffalo grazing in the prairie and then deciding, okay, we need to move to another part of the prairie because there's not enough grass here, there's not enough water here, there's not enough shelter. I think of animals. Birds migrate, right? Deer migrate. Humans don't migrate. Humans immigrate, okay? Humans immigrate. Humans can seek refugee status. Sorry, I think that's my barber showing up, guys. That's what I was looking over. Okay, humans immigrate, right? But they do not migrate. Immigration, if you look up the definition of immigration is people agreeing to move from one location to another. And it's also worth noting that in the definition, they use the term nation. So you're leaving one nation, and this is Merriam-Webster Dictionary. You can look it up yourself. You're leaving one nation, going to another nation with the purposes of permanent citizenship, which means it's transactional, which means it's mutual, which means you have every intention of contributing to that economy, to that society, assimilating to the culture, learning the language, the customs, yada, yada, yada. And then you have refugee status, okay? Refugee, look that up. It's fleeing persecution in seek of safety, whether it's political persecution, religious, sexual orientation, race, whatever. Refugee status means you are being pushed or forced out of your country. Therefore, you've got to seek asylum somewhere else. Immigration, you're voluntarily deciding, you know what, I'm going to leave Canada and go to the United States because the United States has X, Y, and Z, and I have a job lined up. I have these skills. I will be contributing to the economy. I've already learned English, that sort of thing. But what they're doing with this term migrant is they're conflating the two and just pretty much saying anyone leaving their country for any reason whatsoever has the human right to go to any other country, and they just have to be accepted there. That is them saying without saying that they want to dissolve nation states. They want no borders. They want a borderless world. And when you think about the push and pull factors, like I just said, when you talk about pull factors, immigration is a pull. It's a magnet, right? You're being pulled out of your country by economic opportunities or whatever in another country. So you're like, you know what? This isn't so nice where I am. I'm going to go somewhere else. When you talk about refugee status, you're being pushed out. Migrant, it is like tenfold magnet. It's all about magnet. And let's just call it what it is. This UN Migrant Pact is all about flooding third world population into first world countries because it's only going to be a one-way street. You're not going to have a bunch of people leaving the United States or the UK or Germany or wherever or Australia to go to third world countries. It's not going to work that way. It's a one-side benefit, and it's a Trojan horse because we all know what's going to come with mass migration. You're going to have disease, you're going to have poverty, you're going to have crime, you're going to have cultural incompatibilities. People aren't going to want to learn the language. People are going to require more resources. You know, a migrant's going to require way more resources than a citizen would. If you took me and moved me to South Korea, I've never been there. I don't speak Korean. I don't know the customs, the language, the culture, nothing. It's going to take me a lot longer to assimilate and get on my feet. Therefore, it's going to require more resources by the Korean citizens. Their taxpayer dollars would have to go towards keeping me afloat and making sure that my human rights are upheld. You know, healthcare, all these things that they're calling human rights. My right to move to South Korea means they can't say no, they can't deny me, they have to let me in. That doesn't make sense. That's literally not how it works, guys. It doesn't make any sense. And then with the UN pushing this and cramming this down our throats, there's no accountability. What if they're wrong about this, which we all know that they are? There's no accountability. They don't have to answer to anyone. They just want to govern from afar and dissolve national sovereignty. That's all this is about. And we all know these migrants are economic migrants. It has nothing to do. I'm sure there's some that they're fleeing persecution, they're trying to go somewhere else. But what we should be doing is incentivizing them to stay there and make their own countries desirable, right? If we promoted free markets, if we promoted limited government, self-accountability, self-responsibility, you know, that would probably make these countries a lot more desirable to live in. Instead, with this global migrant compact, it is just incentivizing people to leave who probably wouldn't have left otherwise. They might have been like, you know what, fine, yeah, sure. It's a right now. I guess I can just go wherever I want. You know, think about migration status in the United States. I'm a migrant within the United States. I'm a migrant in my own city. I can decide, you know what, I want to go to the beach today. I'm tired of looking at, buildings where I live. I'm just going to go to the beach. I don't need a reason. It's my right. I can go over to the beach. It's really not a right. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to move about. It's the freedom and luxury to move about. It's more of a luxury and a freedom than it is a right. But when you have people coming over from other countries and they weren't even thinking about it otherwise, when you tell them it's a right, well, that's a green light for them to just go. They're like, yeah, I'm leaving Uganda now. I'm going to the United States. And once I'm there, because I'm a human being and being existing as a human right, everything is required of those citizens to provide to me. So tax benefits, housing, food, healthcare, those things are all owed to me. I'm telling you guys, the best way to, and before I even get to like a solution that I think is viable, let's talk about the media. Okay, the media, of course, they're smearing European countries because Hungary and Bulgaria and so many other countries in Europe have not signed the compact, and they've actually criticized it. So Hungary, Poland, Switzerland, they're all going after the European countries, saying like, oh yeah, look at this. It's just the far right. It's xenophobic nationalism. It's racism on the rise. But they say nothing about the fact that Brazil wants nothing to do with it. Brazil said they're going to pull out of it. Chile won't sign it. Someone else was talking about how South Korea and Japan want nothing to do with it. So how is that racism? How is it racism if minority countries are saying no to it also? Maybe it has something to do with their culture. Maybe it has to do with people wanting to preserve their culture and they don't want their cost of living to go up or their wages to go down. They don't want to have to compete for finite resources with people who aren't native to their land, that aren't going to respect their culture. What about all the risk factors that I mentioned before, like the disease, the poverty, the crime, the drugs? We don't know what they're bringing in. We don't know. But if you call it a human right, you're basically saying, all right, let's just unfilter it all. Everyone can come in. Doesn't matter who you are. Come on into the country. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I'm glad that these countries are standing tall against it and are not going to sign this compact because it's so dangerous and it's controversial. So my resolution to it would be cut welfare programs, right? If you cut welfare program right now in the United States, would there be caravans knocking at our southern border? No, there wouldn't be. If they said, okay, you have to live here 5 years, learn the language, and get a job that's above minimum wage before you can even consider collecting any kind of entitlement program, before you can sign up for an entitlement program. You got to live here 5 years, pay 5 years worth of taxes, learn the language, have a job. You have to show, you need a resume. You need a resume because migration is a privilege. It's not a right. So cut the welfare programs, and I think that will cut the problem, But until then, we got to deal with the United Nations and all these, globalist leaders like Trudeau and Merkel and Macron that just want to undermine the sovereignty and the will of the people of their own nations. So what do you guys think? Is migration a human right? Am I just crazy? Am I off the ball? Am I out of my mind today because it's raining and it's infecting my brain? What is it? Or is migration a privilege? Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for donating. If you want to donate, I'll put links in the description. Don't forget to follow me on all the social media accounts. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Mike Nipson 813, and I should pop right up. I'll catch you guys in the next video.